My name is Imani Rose Carter. I am 58 years old. I grew up on a small cotton farm outside of Greenwood. I worked in kitchens and at the front desk of a nursing home. I raised one son, and I held on to the little things that kept me steady. My mother's chipped teacup, my laugh that came out loud when I was nervous, and the way I could fix a car radio with a blunt screwdriver and a prayer. I am a mother, a worker, a stubborn woman who learned to bend without breaking. Before we begin, if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel, tap the like button, and turn on the notifications so you will not miss the next chapters of this story. Drop a quick comment telling me which part of the country you are watching from. I read those comments and they keep me going. If you like strong stories about family, truth, and quiet strength, make sure you are with us. Now let me tell you what happened the night my son would not go back home. The night everything changed began with a soft knock at my porch door just after midnight. The house felt like it had been held in a long, slow breath all day. I had fallen asleep in the living room with a blanket over my knees and a bowl of cold greens on the coffee table. My back was tired from standing all day at the diner. The clock over the stove read 12:05 when the knock came. I thought for a second it was nothing, one of the raccoons or a neighbor calling about a stray dog. But then came the small, hoarse voice I knew better than my own. "Mama, it is me," my son said, but the voice was thin, like it had been pulled through glass. I opened the door and there he was, all tucked up in a jacket he could not fill anymore. Tyler looked at me like he had seen something that no child should ever see. He is 34, my only child, and in that moment he seemed small and old at the same time. His eyes were wet, but not from tears. They were wet with fear. He stepped inside without asking. I closed the door behind him because small things like that can make a house feel like a home again. He sat on the sofa without taking off his jacket. He kept his hands in his pockets, like he wanted to hide them from the world. For a long time he did not speak. He breathed and listened to the house settle. I brought him a cup of tea even though he never drinks tea. He took it and thanked me without looking at me. There was a tremor in his voice that I have heard when he was a child with a fever. "Mom," he said at last, "I cannot go back. I cannot go back there." He said the words like they had teeth, sharp and sudden. My first thought was that there had been an argument, some money trouble, something small and stupid that could be fixed by sleeping in my house for a night or two. I had learned to repair things. I was not prepared to repair what I saw when he finally told me why. He moved his hands from his pockets with a slow, careful motion, like he was showing me something fragile. There was a small envelope in his palm, yellow at the edges from being handled too much. He held it like it was not his, like it was evidence handed to him through a slot in a courtroom door. His thumb rubbed the corner until the paper made a soft sound. "They put it in his mailbox 2 days ago," he said. I read it because I thought it was a bill or a notice. It was not. The envelope had no return address. Inside was a note written in a neat, impersonal hand. It told him to stop coming by the house, to stop asking for what is his, to leave them alone. It had his name, his job, and something else that made the note not just rude but dangerous. It said they knew where he worked. It hinted at things that were not meant for polite conversation. "Listen, Mom," he said, and for the first time his voice broke into a hiss. "They said if he came back they would make sure he could not see me again." I swallowed the tea in my mouth too hot and tasted the iron of panic rise in my throat. He said the note used words like final and permanent, and then it closed with a time and a place, like a promise. I want to tell you that I was measured in my reaction. I want to tell you that I balanced calm and fury into something sensible. But the truth is that I felt the old raw hurt of a woman who remembers being younger and smaller, handed like a loaf over a counter by people who never learned to say sorry. I felt the rage of a mother who would not let a piece of paper tell her child he could not come home. I felt fear, yes, but next to it a heat that made thinking about common sense hard. What followed were questions. I asked where he had been living. I asked who had been with him. I asked if he had said anything back, if he had known why someone would want to scare him away. Tyler told me that his father, whose name is Jalen, had married again 2 years ago. The new woman, he said, did not like him. At first I thought it was jealousy. Families tangle and grip one another over money and space and old hurts. But there was more. Tyler said words that tasted like ash when he spoke them. He said they had started calling him names to my face. He said there had been threats left on the porch, rude hands reaching into his mailbox. He said there were times he woke up and found the car scratched, keys gone, and a note tucked under the windshield wiper with a time that felt like an hourglass counting down. I could have kept him that night, let him sleep on the couch and have breakfast with me in the morning. I could have told him to go to a shelter or to my sister in Atlanta. I could have tried to be practical. Instead, I did something I had not done in years. I called people. I called the man who had once been my neighbor and still knew who owed who in our small town. I called the old minister who had a hat for every bad mood. I called the nursing home where I worked and asked if there were cameras that could overlook the lane that led to our house. I called because even when you are scared you find the tools you once used. They gave me pity and advice, and also the small cruel thing that always follows kindness, which is the reminder that help has rules. The police said we could file a complaint about harassment, but they needed specifics. The neighbor promised to keep his eyes open. The minister prayed. Tyler refused to go back to his house alone. He said he would stay with me for a few days. He said he could not put me at risk. He said his voice like a small wire that could be cut by the wrong hand. We talked about leaving. I thought about packing his things and driving away at dawn to a motel where nobody knew us. I thought about burning the envelope or tearing it into pieces and taking that as victory. I thought about calling Jalen and asking him to explain himself like a grown man instead of a ghost in our life. Then Tyler reached into his pocket again and took out his phone. He showed me a photograph and it made the room colder than midnight. The photo was taken from a distance. It was grainy. It showed our porch light on, a shadow crossing the yard, too tall for a neighbor, too purposeful for a raccoon. The shadow stood across from the mailbox and it held something long and bright in its hand. It was not easy to see at first. I leaned in and my heart made a strange heavy thud. My mouth went dry. The shadow moved closer in the next photo until I could see a slouched figure and the glint of metal near its belt. Tyler told me it had been taken the night before, when he went out to get the mail. My first thought was to wrap my arms around him and refuse the world, and for a bitter second I imagined the world obeying. My second thought, more practical and cruel, was that this was bigger than a stubborn woman and her son. This was a show of power. Someone wanted to tell him he had no home, no right to his own life. Someone wanted to make him small. I do not want to leave you like this, I told him. I do not want to make you listen to a story and then leave you afraid until morning. But the truth is I could not make a plan that night. The house seemed to keep secrets. The kitchen clock kept time and the shadows kept moving. Tyler looked at me with a face I had not seen since he was 10 and the neighborhood boys had stolen his bicycle. He said 2 words and they landed like stones. They came tonight, he said. And then he stopped and swallowed as if the words had claws. He would not say who they were. He would not say what they wanted. He only said that he could not go back. I sat very still. The tea had gone cold on the table. Outside the wind picked up and the leaves slapped the porch like small hands trying to get in. For a long minute we listened to the house breathe. Then my phone buzzed on the counter. I picked it up and the screen told me there was a message from an unknown number. I felt the room tilt. The message had 3 simple words. They were not mean. They were not kind. They were precise. Do not come back. I read it twice because I could not make its edges fit inside my head. I handed the phone to Tyler. He read it and his fingers trembled. He did not scream. He simply looked at me and the look said that something had started and could not be stopped by our 2 hands and a kitchen table. I set the phone down. I stood up. I walked to the window and peered through the blinds. The yard was a dark page. The porch light painted the mailbox in a dull gold. I felt old in a way that has nothing to do with time. I felt like the fragments of my life had been shaken loose. If you are with me and this story touches you, please hit like and subscribe. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from because I want to know who stands with us. We will keep going and I will tell you what happened next. But before I could move any further, a soft sound came from the back of the house. A sound like someone whispering the alphabet slowly. Tyler froze and went white. I put my hand on the window and my breath fogged the glass. There was a figure moving behind the fence, and the figure was carrying something that caught the porch light and made a small, terrible sparkle. I did not move for a long second. I only watched the thin shape glide behind the fence, its shadow cutting across the grass like a long, broken thread. Tyler pressed himself against the wall, breathing fast, his eyes stretched wide. I had seen fear before in my years working at the nursing home where patients whispered about shadows in the hall. But this fear was different. This fear had a heartbeat you could hear if you stood still enough. I held the curtain with 2 fingers. The figure moved across the yard with slow, careful steps. The object in its hand gleamed once more and then dipped out of sight. By the time I blinked, the yard was empty, the stillness so heavy it felt staged. Like someone wanted us to know they had been there, and that leaving was only the first part of their message. "Mama," Tyler whispered, "that is him. That is the same shape from the picture." I closed the curtain so fast the metal rings clattered. My hands shook in a way that told me the past 24 hours had cracked something inside me, something that had been solid for a long time. "Sit," I said, though I could barely sit myself. We sat beside each other on the couch, both of us staring at the wall like it held answers. The envelope, the note, the shadow, the message on my phone. None of it made sense, but all of it connected like beads on a string pulled too tight. Tyler held his head in his hands. "I should have said something earlier, Mama. I should have told you before it got this far." I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell him no, this was not his fault. But part of me wished I had noticed the signs. The rushed phone calls. The way he always looked over his shoulder before stepping inside my house. The way he said he was fine in a voice that was anything but fine. "Start from the beginning," I said. He raised his head and nodded slowly. "It began small," he said. "After Dad remarried. His new wife, Morel, never liked me. She said I had too much of you in me. Said I was old-fashioned, too soft, too slow. I would show up to visit Dad and she would barely speak. But it got worse after they moved into that new house. You know, the one on Willow Bend Lane. The big one with the long driveway. The neighbors whisper about it because the lights are never on past 9. I knew the house. I had seen it once when driving home from the diner. I remembered how out of place it looked, like it had been dropped on the block by accident. Too quiet. Too polished. Too stiff. Tyler rubbed the back of his neck. I thought it was jealousy. Or maybe she just didn't want me around. But then their threats started. Little things at first. A broken window. A dead plant left on my porch. Then one night I found footprints outside my window. They were not mine. I felt a cold line run down my spine. "Did you tell anyone?" He laughed, a tired, humorless laugh. "Mama, I told Dad. He said it was kids." I told Morel. She stared at me like she already knew the story I was going to tell. Like she had been waiting. Something about that sent a quiet alarm through me. Tyler looked at the wall again as if replaying a memory. 2 days before the note came, she told me a sentence I have not been able to shake. She said, "You keep showing up here, and something bad is going to happen." Then she smiled at me like it was a joke. But Mama, it was not a joke. Not the way she said it. I leaned back, feeling the worn cushions press against my shoulders. In all my years, I had met 3 kinds of people. The loud ones who cause storms, the quiet ones who clean them up, and the dangerous ones who smile while they push someone toward the edge. Morel sounded like the last kind. Tyler continued. The note arrived the next morning. No return address. No explanation. Just a warning. And then the shadow appeared that night when I checked my mailbox. I grabbed a photo fast because my hands would not stop shaking. I ran inside. I thought maybe it would stop if I stayed away. But then Dad texted me. He said Morel was telling people I had been threatening them. Mama, I swear I never did. I put my hand on his back and felt the tension sitting in his shoulders like rocks. I know you, I said. You do not go out looking for fights. He nodded, then looked away, his voice thinning again. And Mama, there is something else. Something I did not want to tell you because I knew how you would react. A deep quiet filled the room. My heartbeat settled into a slow thump that felt too loud for the silence. Tell me, I said. Dad changed his will last month. I felt my breath stop in my chest. He continued quickly, like ripping off a bandage. Morel made him do it. She told him he had to protect his new family. She told him I was only coming around for money. Mama, he named her and her 2 brothers as beneficiaries. He left me nothing. I blinked hard as if the world had suddenly shifted sideways. The man I had once loved, the man who held our son before I ever did, the man who swore he would always take care of Tyler had erased him with a signature. Why would he do that? I whispered. Tyler shook his head. I do not know. But ever since then, they have been pushing me away. Hard. Like they want me gone for good. The words settled like thick smoke. Suddenly the note, the shadow, the threats, all of it clicked into place in a way that made my stomach twist. Somebody did not just want Tyler out of the way. Somebody needed him gone. Somebody needed him quiet. The weight of that truth pressed into my chest until it hurt to breathe. Before I could speak, something unexpected happened. A soft rap sounded at the front door. Just one. Just enough to reach the back of our bones. Tyler and I both stared at the door. Neither of us moved. The rapping came again. Slow. Soft. Like the person on the other side already knew exactly what they wanted and was willing to wait for it. Mama, Tyler whispered, do not open it. I stood up. My legs trembled, but something hot and fierce burned inside me. I was tired of shadows and whispers. Tired of my son being hunted like an animal. Tired of being afraid in my own house. But when I reached the door, something cold swept through me. Not fear. Not confusion. Something else. The person outside slipped a folded piece of paper under the door. I bent down slowly and picked it up. The envelope was the same color as the first one. The handwriting was the same. Tyler stood behind me, barely breathing. Mom, what does it say? I opened it with trembling fingers. And when I read the 6 words inside, the room spun. We are coming sooner than expected. I felt my skin crawl. Tyler grabbed my arm. Mama, who is we? Before I could answer, the porch light flickered once. Then the shadow outside moved again. The porch light blinked again, thinning the night into slivers of gold and shadow. Tyler stepped back from the door, his breath coming fast, his eyes locked on the thin line of light beneath the frame. I could hear his heartbeat in the silence, or maybe it was mine. Mama, he whispered, we cannot stay here. I held the new envelope in my hand. The words pressed against my palm like they were trying to burn their way into my skin. We are coming sooner than expected. Not a warning. A countdown. I told Tyler to go into the living room and stay low. He hesitated, not wanting to leave my side, but fear pushed him backward. I took one slow breath, walked to the window, and pulled the curtain open only a sliver. The yard was empty again. Calm. Still. Too still. The kind of stillness that comes right before something breaks. I closed the curtain and locked the front door, even though I knew a simple lock could not stop whoever had been standing out there. I looked around my house the way a soldier looks at a battlefield, noticing every weak point I had ignored for years. The loose back latch. The thin kitchen window. The side door that never closed proper unless you lifted it. I felt older than 58 in that moment. Not tired old. Battle-worn old. Mama, Tyler said softly, standing in the doorway, they are not just threatening us. They are planning something. I can feel it. They want me gone, and now they are dragging you into it too. I walked toward him and placed my hands on his shoulders. His face had lost color. His jaw clenched the way it used to when he struggled with school tests as a little boy. "Tell me everything you have not told me yet," I said. Tyler swallowed hard, nodded, then began. "Mama, remember when Dad's new wife started that business with her brothers?" He paused, rubbing his palms together. "She said it was a real estate company. That they bought houses, flipped them, rented them. Everyone believed her because they all dress clean and drive new cars. I remembered seeing them around town once. 3 siblings with perfect smiles and eyes that stayed cold no matter how much they grinned." Tyler continued. "But it is not real estate. Not really. People talk around town. Last year, someone said they were taking houses from older folks who had no one to defend them. Signing papers behind their backs. Taking land with lies. People who tried to fight back suddenly moved out of state or disappeared from the neighborhood without saying goodbye." My heart sank. "What are you saying?" Tyler's voice cracked. "I think they want Dad's house. I think they convinced him to sign papers he did not understand. And they do not want me around because I am the only one who might question it." His words fell heavy between us, like fists hitting the ground. "And the will, Mama," he whispered. "I am the only person who could challenge that will. If I am gone, they get everything with no one standing in their way." That sentence made my blood run cold. Everything clicked at once. The threats. The shadows. The silent car Tyler saw outside his job last week. The envelope slipped under my door. The figure carrying something that glinted in the dark. They were clearing the road. I felt a tremor move through me, not from fear, but from anger burning through my spine. No one takes my child's life apart piece by piece. Not again. Not ever. Tyler sank onto the couch. His hands shook. "Mama, I am scared. I do not know what to do. If I leave town, they will still find me. If I stay, they will do something worse. And now they know where you live." I sat beside him, letting the weight of his fear settle between us. I remembered the day he was born, how tiny he was, how the doctor placed him in my arms like he had handed me the world. I had promised myself that day that no matter what life tried to take from me, they would never take him. I stood up suddenly. "Pack a small bag," I told him. "Only what you truly need." He looked at me confused. "Mama, where are we going?" "Someplace where they cannot just walk into the yard and slip letters under doors," I said. "But first, we need to make a stop." "A stop where?" "To see your father." His eyes widened. "Mama. No. You do not understand. Morel will be there. Her brothers. They do not want me near him." "Exactly," I said. "Which is why we need to go. Because I want to see his face when he tells me he had no idea what was going on. And if he lies, I want to see that too." Tyler ran a shaky hand across his forehead. "Mama, they follow him everywhere. He will not speak freely around them. Then we will not speak inside the house." I grabbed my coat and checked the windows one more time. Everything was locked, everything closed. But as I reached for the hallway light, something unexpected caught my eye. A shape. A silhouette. Moving slowly past the side window. Tyler saw my face and froze. "Someone outside, Mama." I held up one hand, signaling him to stay quiet. The shape paused by the window. Its head lifted slightly, like it was listening. My heart hammered. I stepped closer, not enough for them to see me, but enough for me to hear the faint sound of breathing on the other side of the glass. Whoever it was stood there for a long moment. Too long. Then another shadow joined the first. Two figures at my window. Tyler's hand gripped my arm. "Mama, we need to call the police." We would. But something in me knew the police would arrive 10 minutes too late. These people were not bluffing anymore. They had not slipped a letter under the door as a warning. They had slipped it as a final courtesy. Another shadow appeared at the edge of the yard. Three people in my yard. Close. Watching. Waiting. I stepped back into the hallway as quietly as I could, pulling Tyler with me. "Pack the bag," I whispered. He nodded, panic rising in his throat. As he rushed toward the bedroom, I turned off every light in the house. The darkness wrapped around us, but it was safer than being visible. Then, just as I reached the kitchen, a soft scrape ran across the back door. Metal on metal. Someone was testing the latch. My knees weakened. My breath caught. They were no longer circling. They were trying to come in. I crept toward the back door, heart slamming against my ribs. The latch wiggled again. This time harder. More certain. More hungry. Tyler's footsteps returned down the hall. "Mama," he whispered, "I am ready." But before I could answer, something happened that froze both of us in place. The back door lock clicked. Not open. Not broken. Just clicked. Like someone outside had the key. I felt the world slow to a crawl as I stared at the handle turning. And then someone outside whispered my name. My real name. Imani. In a voice I recognized. A voice I had not heard in years. What came next made my knees buckle. Because the voice speaking through the door belonged to someone who should never have been on their side. The sound of that voice pushed every thought out of my head. The latch stopped moving. The air changed, thick and strange, like the whole house leaned in to listen. Tyler froze beside me, his bag hanging from his hand. "Mama, who is that?" I knew the voice. I knew it down to the bone. It was calm. Familiar. A voice that had once lulled me to sleep during long nights when Tyler was a baby and I worked double shifts. A voice that soothed storms and smoothed sharp edges. A voice I had trusted. "Imani, open the door. We need to talk." Tyler's breath hitched. His hands trembled. "No. Mama. No. That cannot be who I think it is." I put a finger to my lips, motioning him to stay silent. My heart pounded, but not from fear this time. From realization. From betrayal. Slowly, carefully, I stepped toward the back door. I did not open it. I only placed my palm flat against the cold wood. "Why are you here?" I asked quietly. The voice on the other side hesitated. When it spoke again, it was lower, tighter. "Imani, open the door so we can explain everything. You are making this harder." "We." The word hit me like a strike. Not I. We. The people in my yard. The shadows at the window. The ones slipping envelopes under doors like warnings from another world. We. Tyler stepped closer, voice cracking. "Mama, do not open that door. Please. Not for him. Not for him." And in that moment, the truth wrapped itself around me like barbed wire. It was Jalen. My ex-husband. Tyler's father. The man who had held our son in hospital hallways. The man who used to bring me coffee at the diner just to see me smile. The man who once swore he would protect our boy until his last breath. Outside my house. With them. With the people threatening his own child. And he wanted me to open the door. My throat tightened. I pressed my palm harder against the door to keep from shaking. "Jalen," I said, my voice sharper than it had been in years. "Why are you with them?" Metal shifting. A boot scraping the porch. A long breath. "Imani, step back from the door. I do not want this to get messy." Tyler jerked forward. "Get messy, Mama. What is he talking about?" I held Tyler back with my arm. Because the way Jalen said those words, it was not anger. It was not fear. It was warning. Cold, professional warning. The kind a man gives right before he crosses a line he never intended to cross. "Jalen," I said again, this time louder, firmer, "answer me. Why are you here and why are they in my yard?" Instead of answering, he said the one sentence that broke the last soft piece of me. "It is better if you do not fight this." Fight this. Fight what? I stepped back from the door, dizzy with disbelief. My stomach twisted like I had swallowed something sharp. Tyler's voice cracked again. Dad, please tell me this is not what it looks like. The silence that followed was cruel. Then Jalen finally said it. You were supposed to stay away, Tyler. We warned you. We told you this was not your house anymore. You were told to leave things as they are. Tyler stumbled backward like the words had hit him square in the chest. Not your house anymore. Not your life. Not your right. How could you do that to me? Tyler whispered. Jalen's tone hardened. Your new mother and I built a life together. A clean one. A stable one. You coming around with your questions, digging into things that do not concern you, it puts everything at risk. Not concern him. His father. His childhood home. His inheritance. His entire safety. Not concern him. Something snapped inside me. Something that had been stretched thin since the moment I found Tyler at my door last night. Jalen, I said in a low, steady voice, whatever she told you, whatever she promised, whatever lies she fed you, I know my son. He is not the danger here. He is the target. And if you stand there with them, you are part of the danger. He sighed. A long, tired sigh. Like the inconvenience exhausted him. Imani, open the door, he said again. His tone dropped its softness. You are making this worse. They are not going to wait forever. They. My jaw clenched. So that was it. He was not here to calm them down. He was here to keep me compliant. To make sure I did not call anyone. To make sure I did not run. To make sure Tyler did not scream. In that moment, Tyler moved beside me and whispered something that sent a shiver straight up my backbone. Mama. I think he knows about the photos. My stomach dropped. Jalen speaking through the door grew tighter, more urgent. Imani. Now. Open the door. I stepped backward until my shoulder hit the kitchen counter. The room felt smaller, the shadows thicker. No, I said. The word came out of me like a stone. No, Jalen. You are not coming in here. There was a pause. Then a heavy, slow knock. Not a warning. A countdown. 3. Another knock. 2. A scrape of metal. 1. Mama, Tyler whispered, voice thin and breaking. What do we do? I looked him dead in the eyes. The same eyes he had when he was 10 years old and came running to me with a cut knee and fear in his chest. We run, I said. We get out the front door. Now. Tyler grabbed his bag. I pulled on my boots without tying them. Jalen's voice outside grew louder, angrier. Imani, if you open that door, this ends quiet. If you do not, they will handle it their way. I could hear Morel's brothers' voices now too. Low. Threatening. Moving around the back porch. Testing the windows. Preparing. We ran to the front door. I unlocked it, ready to bolt into the night. But when I swung it open, Tyler gasped. I froze. Because standing on my porch, under the weak glow of the streetlight, was someone I had not seen in 17 years. Someone who should not have known where I lived. Someone who once disappeared without goodbye and without explanation. He leaned against the porch railing, hands in his pockets, watching us with sharp, steady eyes. Imani, he said quietly, you and the boy need to come with me. Now. Before they get inside. My heart slammed so hard it shook my ribs. Because the man standing there was not friend, not enemy, not family, but the one person who knew exactly what Jalen and Morel were capable of. And why Tyler was truly in danger. He stood there like a ghost wearing real skin. Lean, tired around the eyes. Older than I remembered, but still carrying that same quiet danger that used to make people step aside when he walked into a room. Ezra Blake. The man I once trusted more than I trusted my own shadow. The man who vanished 17 years ago without leaving a note, a number, or even a whisper behind. The man who once told me he would protect my family, if the day ever came. A promise I never understood. Until now. Tyler looked from me to him, confused. Mama, who is that? I swallowed hard. 1,000 memories rushed at me at once. some warm, some sharp, all tangled. I stepped slightly in front of Tyler, not to shield him from Ezra, but to shield him from the chaos this moment carried. Ezra kept his eyes on me. His voice was low, steady, and urgent. Imani, you and your boy are out of time. They are about to come through that back door. And if they get inside, none of this ends clean. The back porch creaked. Jalen's voice barked something I could not make out. Morel's brothers moved like wolves circling a fence. Ezra took one step forward. I flinched without meaning to. He paused, hands raised slightly to show he meant no harm. We need to go. Right now. Tyler whispered, Mama, how does he know them? How does he know what is happening? Ezra's jaw tightened. Because I used to work with them. The words punched the air right out of my chest. You worked with them? I asked. He nodded. I walked away when I realized what they were doing. But walking away does not erase knowledge. They think I know too much. And now they know you and your son have something that can unravel everything. Tyler stiffened beside me. His voice cracked. The picture. They are here for the picture. Ezra's eyes sharpened. You have photographic evidence of one of their meetings. That is why they want you gone. They cannot afford witnesses right now. Not when they're closing the Willow Bend deal. A loud bang hit the back door. Hard. The latch groaned. Ezra leaned in. Imani, please. Let me get you both out. I did not know whether to trust him. I did not know whether I was stepping towards safety or walking straight into another trap. But the back door hit again. Harder. A hinge snapped. And that made the choice for me. Grab your keys, Ezra said. Leave your phone. They can trace that. Tyler and I rushed toward the small table near the coat rack. My purse. My keys. Tyler's jacket. Ezra scanned the yard like a soldier mapping escape routes. We ran out the front door. Ezra moved fast, guiding us toward a dark blue truck parked 2 houses down. He pressed a button on his keys, the truck blinked once, and he opened the back door. Get in. Both of you. Tyler slid in first. I followed, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it was shaking the truck itself. Ezra slammed the door, rounded to the driver's seat, and before I could even fasten the seatbelt, we were rolling down the street with the headlights off. Behind us, my porch light flickered violently, and then went dark. Tyler pressed his face to the window. Mama, they are inside the house. Flames of fear licked up my spine. Ezra's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed controlled. That house is not safe anymore. Neither is the neighborhood. They will send someone to the roads in 5 minutes. We need to be off-grid before then. I forced myself to breathe. The truck hummed down the quiet road, streetlights passing like dim ghosts. My mind raced. Ezra, I said, why now? Why come back? He did not look at me. He kept his eyes on the road. Because I owe you, Imani. Owe me. For what? He let out a breath. 7 years ago, you tipped me off about a woman in my building. Do you remember her husband was hurting her? You told me before anyone else. I got her out. Saved her life. If you had not told me, she would not be here today. The memory flickered in my mind. A scared young woman with fading bruises beneath makeup. Me slipping a note to Ezra in the hallway. Me praying he would help. Me never knowing what happened after. Ezra continued. I promised myself that if you ever needed help, I would come. And when I heard your son was being hunted the same way they hunt people they want to silence, I started watching. You were watching us? Tyler asked, voice cracked. Ezra nodded, eyes still forward. 4 weeks. You were already in trouble before you realized it. That note they sent you was not a warning. It was a timeline. My stomach rolled. My throat tightened. I hated that he might be right. So what is the plan? I asked. Where are we going? Ezra glanced in the rearview mirror. Somewhere they cannot track you. Somewhere they do not know about. The truck turned off the main road and headed down a long stretch of trees. Tyler leaned forward. Did my father know Mama was in danger? Ezra hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. He knew, Ezra said quietly. But he chose them. He thinks Morel's brothers can protect him from the law. But they cannot. They use him. He does not see it yet. My heart broke in a way I had not expected. Not because Jalen betrayed me, but because he betrayed his own child. Tyler stared at the floor of the truck. He shook his head in disbelief. He really stood outside that door tonight, he whispered. Knowing what they wanted. Knowing what could happen to us. Ezra nodded once. Firm. Heavy. True. Tyler wiped his face with his sleeve. Then he looked up at Ezra. What do they want the house for? Why is it so important? Ezra switched gears and turned down a narrower road. Moonlight cut strips across his face. That house sits on land they need for a bigger operation. A development deal. Willow Bend Lane is the last piece they need. Your father unknowingly signed documents that gave them temporary control pending his passing. My heart almost stopped. Pending his passing. Ezra's voice was low, hard. Yes. They need him gone too. But slowly. Quietly. In a way no one questions. Tyler choked on a breath. Mama, they were not just after me. Ezra nodded. No. But you were the loose end. The one who kept showing up. The one asking questions. The one they could not manipulate. I put my hand over Tyler's. His fingers gripped mine with the strength of a drowning child holding a rope. Ezra took a sharp turn. We were entering deeper woods now. I swallowed hard. Ezra, where are you taking us? He slowed the truck. Looked at me in the rearview mirror. To someone who can protect you. Someone who knows the truth. Someone they are terrified of. A cold shiver ran through me. Who? Ezra did not blink. Your sister. I went still. My sister. Nia. The one who had not spoken to me in 18 years. The one who left town without telling anyone why. Before I could speak, the truck suddenly jerked as Ezra slammed the brakes. Tyler yelped. I grabbed the seat in front of me. Ezra's voice dropped to a whisper. They found us. Up ahead, on the narrow dirt road. A pair of headlights turned toward us. Slow. Deliberate. Blocking the path. Ezra cursed under his breath. Get down. Now. Because the car ahead was Morel's brothers. And they were not alone. Ezra killed the engine so fast the sudden silence felt deafening. Tyler slid down in the seat immediately, fear trembling through him. I grabbed his hand, squeezing tight. The headlights ahead of us glowed bright and steady, pointed directly at our truck like the eyes of some hungry creature blocking the only way out. Ezra's jaw clenched. They should not have found us this fast. They must have been tailing me longer than I thought. The second set of headlights flicked on. Then a third. More than Morel's brothers. They had backup. The night around us did not feel like night anymore. It felt like a trap closing. Ezra reached under his seat and pulled out a battered black duffel bag. The zipper was half broken and frayed. He did not open it all the way. Just enough to slip something into his jacket pocket. Ezra, I whispered sharply. What are you doing? Preparing, he murmured, eyes focused forward. Listen to me very carefully, Imani. They are not here to talk. They are here to make sure none of us walk out of these woods. My breath caught in my throat. Tyler pressed closer to me, breathing hard, shoulders tight with fear. Ezra leaned back slightly, speaking low. Get ready to move when I say move. We are not taking the road anymore. Tyler blinked. Then where are we going? Ezra turned his face toward the darkness outside the window. Into the woods. My pulse hammered. Tyler's grip tightened. Ezra continued calmly, like a man giving instructions before jumping out of a plane. They will come on foot. They think we will panic. They think we will freeze. We are not freezing. When I open this door, we run into the trees. Stay low. Stay quiet. Stay behind me. A car door ahead slammed. Then another. Voices. Male. Confident. Laughing. Ezra whispered, now. He shoved the truck door open and we spilled into the night. The cold air slapped my face. Tyler grabbed my hand and Ezra gestured us toward the dark mess of trees beside the dirt road. Hurry. We sprinted off the clearing as quietly as we could, feet pounding against dead leaves. My breath came in quick bursts. Branches scraped my jacket. Ezra ran ahead, eyes locked on the narrow path barely visible between pine trunks. Behind us, flashlights clicked on. And then the shouting began. I heard them. This way. Do not let them get far. Ezra motioned for silence and ducked behind a thick pine tree. We followed, crouching low. The beam of a flashlight skimmed the ground not far from us. I held my breath until my lungs burned. Tyler pressed into my side. Mama, we will not outrun them. Ezra scanned the woods. We do not have to outrun them. We only have to reach the creek. What creek? I whispered. Ezra pointed through the trees. Deep in these woods, there is a water trench covered by vines and brush. They do not know it is here, but I do. If we get there, we can crawl through to the other side and disappear. Another flashlight beam swept dangerously close. We ducked lower. Ezra motioned again. Move. We crept deeper, staying crouched, stepping around branches. The woods smelled like damp earth and pine resin. My heart thudded in my ears, drowning out almost every sound except the men hunting us. A voice boomed behind us. They went this way. Spread out. Branches snapped. Boots crunched leaves. They were getting closer. Tyler's voice cracked in a whisper. Mama, I cannot breathe. I cupped the back of his head gently. You are doing good, baby. Just a little more. Ezra reached a slope that dropped steeply downward. Careful, he murmured, sliding down on his feet. Follow me. Tyler went next. I followed, gripping a thick root to steady myself as my boots scraped over dirt. Halfway down the slope, something unexpected happened. The woods went silent. Too silent. Ezra stopped abruptly. His hand lifted in warning. Do you hear that? Tyler and I froze. I listened. No wind. No footsteps. No voices. Just the eerie hum of night. Then a twig snapped behind us. Ezra shoved us forward. Run. We shot down the last part of the slope and landed beside a shallow dried-up stream bed. Ezra yanked aside a curtain of vines, revealing a narrow trench that looked too tight for grown adults to crawl through. This way, he urged. It is tight, but it opens wider on the other end. I hesitated. Ezra, Tyler cannot fit in there. I can try, Tyler gasped, chest rising and falling fast. Mama, I can do it. Ezra whipped his head toward us. You have to try. They are not far. Footsteps thundered above us. Ezra pushed Tyler to the opening. Go. Tyler crawled inside, wiggling forward, dirt smearing his jacket. I dropped to my knees to follow. But just as I placed my hands on the cold earth, something cold and sharp pressed against the back of my neck. Don't move. My heart stopped. The voice was smooth. Cocky. One of Morel's brothers. Ezra spun around, reaching for something inside his jacket. Stop right there, the man barked. You move again and this ends ugly. I swallowed hard. Ezra froze, hands rising slowly. The man leaned closer. His breath smelled like mint and arrogance. Well, well, well. Look who we found. He lifted the object to my cheek so I could feel its cold metal. A gun. My stomach twisted. Ezra's voice stayed calm. Let her go. It is me you want. The man laughed under his breath. Oh, we want all of you. But she is the easiest one to start with. I clenched my jaw, refusing to let him see the fear that wanted to claw out of my throat. Tyler's voice echoed faintly from the trench. "Mama, are you behind me? What is happening?" The man smirked. "That your boy? He sounds scared. Shame if he disappears and no one ever finds him." Something inside me snapped. Not fear. Not panic. Something older. Wilder. A kind of strength that mothers get only when someone tries to harm their child. I knew if I did nothing right here, right now, this man would hurt us both. So I took a breath, closed my eyes, and did the one thing he did not expect. I dropped my weight forward. Hard. The move threw him off balance just long enough. Ezra struck. His arm swung upward, hitting the man's wrist. The gun fired into the air, the shot cracking like lightning. Birds burst out of the trees above us. Tyler screamed my name from inside the trench. The man stumbled back, cursing, clutching his wrist. Ezra grabbed my arm. "Go. I will hold him." But I could not move. The gun lay on the ground between us, inches from my hand. The man dove for it. I dove too. I did not think. I did not hesitate. My fingers closed around the cold metal just as the man's hand slapped the dirt beside mine. He lunged. I raised the gun. Ezra shouted, "Imani." The man froze. Not because of me, but because someone new stepped out from behind a cluster of trees. A silhouette. A woman. Tall. Still. Watching us with the quiet confidence of someone who had been one step ahead all along. Ezra exhaled sharply. "Oh no." Tyler's muffled voice echoed again. "Mama, what is going on?" The woman stepped forward, moonlight cutting across her face. And my whole body went cold. It was my sister, Nia, who had been gone for 18 years. And the first words she said after nearly 2 decades were, "Drop the gun, Imani. Do not make the same mistake twice." The gun felt heavier in my hand than any weight I had ever carried. My fingers tightened around it without meaning to. My eyes stayed locked on the woman standing in front of me, her face calm, unreadable, and cold as river stone. Nia. My sister. Gone for 18 years. Standing in the middle of the woods like she had been waiting for this exact moment. Ezra whispered under his breath, careful and tense. "Imani. Do not move fast. She does not bluff." The man on the ground froze too, eyes darting between Nia and me. He was afraid of her. That alone told me everything. Nia took 2 slow steps forward. The leaves under her boots barely made a sound. Her hair was tied back, her clothes dark and simple. She looked like she belonged to the night itself. I forced myself to speak. "Nia, what are you doing here?" Her eyes flicked to Ezra, then to the man who had been holding the gun, then back to me. "Saving you," she said simply. Again. My heart lurched. Again. A word she threw like a stone. Tyler's muffled voice echoed from the trench. "Mama, are you okay? Tell me what is happening." I swallowed hard. "Stay where you are, baby. Stay still." Nia lifted her chin slightly. "Is he in the trench?" Ezra cut in, voice sharp. "Do not answer that." She shot him a look that could slice stone. "I was not asking you, Ezra. I was asking her." He stepped between us without thinking. "Nia, you do not get to walk in after 18 years and give orders. Not here." But Nia did not look shaken. Not even a bit. She moved her gaze to me again. "Imani, drop the gun." I gripped it tighter. "You never answered my question. Why are you here?" Her expression didn't change. "Because you called me." I blinked. "I never called anyone." She tilted her head. "Not today. Not last week. Years ago." Ezra stepped closer, voice low. "Imani, she thinks you owe her. That is why she left. That is why she stayed away." But Nia's voice remained steady. "You made a mistake once, Imani. You trusted the wrong people. And I cleaned up after it. I vanished so you and the boy could stay alive. And I told myself I would never come back. My throat tightened. Memory hit me in flashes. A night I had tried to forget. A night with police tape. A night with shouting. A night when Nia disappeared without a single word. I whispered, "Nia, what did you do?" But she ignored the question. Instead, she pointed to the gun still in my hand. "Put it down. You do not want to repeat history." Ezra stepped slightly in front of me. "Do not listen to her. She is not here to protect us. She is here to control the situation." Nia's eyes narrowed. "You think you know everything, Ezra, but you do not. If I wanted them dead, they would already be dead. I am here to stop this before your stubbornness gets her killed." The man on the ground chose that moment to crawl backward slowly, hoping no one noticed. Nia did. She pointed at him without looking away from me. "Do not move." He froze again. I felt my mind spinning. My pulse raced. Everything inside me shook. I looked at Nia like she was a stranger. Like I had never known the woman standing before me. "You left," I said quietly. "You left without a word. You did not even say goodbye." Nia's jaw tightened. "You were safer that way." "Safer from what?" She didn't answer. Instead, she glanced behind us. Their voices were getting closer. Boots hitting the ground. Flashlights slicing through the trees. Nia stepped forward and said the words that changed everything. "I have been trying to stop this for years. But now you are in it. And your son. And Ezra. So listen to me, Imani." She pointed deeper into the woods, away from the trench, away from the road, away from the men hunting us. "There is a cabin east of here. Hidden. Silent. Off record. You have stayed there before, even if you don't remember." I felt a strange chill crawl up my arms. Ezra shook his head. "No. Imani, do not. She is lying." Nia snapped, "Ezra, if I wanted her dead, I would have let that man shoot her in the yard of her own house. I am the only reason she is alive tonight." The man on the ground swallowed loudly. Voices again. Closer. Much closer. They were almost on us. Nia's voice dropped to a whisper. "Imani, you have 10 seconds to decide. Follow me and live. Stay here and they will drag you out of these woods before sunrise." Ezra stepped in front of me, blocking Nia's view. "Imani, listen to me. Nia works with people who do not answer to the law. She left because she chose that world. You follow her, you disappear." Nia scoffed. "Ezra only says that because he cannot control me." I snapped. "All of you shut up." The woods went dead silent. Tyler cried out faintly again. "Mama, please hurry. I hear people." Everything inside me screamed. Every bone. Every instinct. Every memory of the boy I raised. The boy who trusted me to save him. The boy who feared his own father. I looked at Ezra. The man who returned to help after 17 years. I looked at Nia. The sister who walked away without a goodbye but somehow always seemed to know more than she ever should. Then I looked at the man on the ground. The man who had come into my yard with intention. The man who almost took my life. The man who flinched when Nia spoke. And I knew one thing. If someone like him feared her, it meant she had power. Power the others did not understand. Power the others could not reach. I lifted the gun. Ezra tensed. Nia's eyes sharpened. I turned and aimed it at the man on the ground. He gasped. Ezra cursed under his breath. Nia stayed perfectly still. "Tell your brothers," I said, voice shaking but fierce, "that if they want us, they had better pray they reach us before I start fighting back." The man stared at me, wide-eyed. Then I stepped back, lowered the gun, grabbed Ezra's arm, grabbed the vine-covered entrance to the trench, and yelled into the darkness. "Tyler, turn around. We are not going through the trench. We are leaving with Ezra. Nia's expression went cold, wounded but hard. She took one small step forward. This is a mistake, Imani. Maybe, I whispered. But it is mine to make. Ezra pulled Tyler from the trench, and the boy stumbled into my arms. Behind us, flashlights burst through the trees. Nia turned her head toward the approaching lights, and for the first time, I saw fear flicker in her eyes. Real fear. Not for herself. For us. She whispered one last sentence as we backed away through the trees. If you walk away from me now, the past will come back for all of us. But there was no time to ask what she meant. Because the men burst into the clearing. And the gunfire began. Gunfire split the night wide open. It echoed through the trees, sharp and savage, bouncing off the dark branches like lightning that refused to burn out. Ezra grabbed Tyler's wrist and pulled him behind a fallen log. I dropped beside them, heart pounding so loud my ears rang. Dirt sprayed into the air as bullets tore into the ground where we had been standing seconds before. Down. Ezra shouted. Tyler curled into me, shaking. I could feel every tremor in his body, every beat of his terrified heart. I covered him with my arms, praying silently, fiercely, repeatedly. Lord, not my child. Not tonight. Another burst of gunfire cracked through the trees. Then, a different sound. A heavy thud. A body hitting the forest floor. Ezra peeked over the log. His eyes widened. Imani. It's Nia. My breath snagged in my throat. Nia didn't fall. She moved. Fast. Too fast. She rolled into cover behind a tree, pulled something from her boot, and the flash of metal told me exactly what it was. A blade. Not a kitchen knife. A hunter's blade. A warning shot fired past her head, but she didn't flinch. She moved like she had trained for this her entire life. Like darkness was home. Ezra cursed under his breath. She is going to take all of them by herself. Another shot rang out. A man's scream cut through the woods. Tyler gasped. Mama, is she killing them? Ezra held Tyler's shoulder firmly. She is stopping them. That is all you need to know. But I knew. I knew the way you know when someone you love has changed into someone you do not recognize. Nia was not fighting for us. Nia was fighting because she had spent years preparing for a moment exactly like this. I whispered, if she is here, then she knows something bigger than tonight. Ezra nodded grimly. And she knows they will not stop until all three of you are gone. Another shot. Another scream. The woods grew still. Too still. Ezra straightened slowly. They are down. All of them. My body sagged with relief, but a new fear slithered into my chest. Because silence this heavy never meant safety. It meant aftermath. We stood, shaking. Tyler clung to me, face pale, eyes wide. Ezra scanned the trees for movement. Then Nia stepped out of the shadows. Her face, splattered with dirt. Her breathing steady. Her eyes sharp and unreadable. It's done, she said. Tyler backed behind me slightly. Ezra stepped protectively closer. Nia glanced at him once. I did not ask for your help, Ezra. Ezra shot back, and I didn't ask for yours. She rolled her shoulders. You needed it. I raised a hand, voice trembling but firm. Everyone stop. Enough fighting. Enough secrets. I want the truth. All of it. Tonight. Nia's jaw tightened. Imani. No. You owe me this. You owe him this. Tyler looked at her, eyes full of confusion and hurt. Why did you leave? Why did you never call us? Why did you show up now? Nia shut her eyes briefly, a flicker of pain crossing her face. Because I was the reason you were threatened 18 years ago, she whispered. And I could not bear to put you through that again. My stomach dropped. The air left my lungs. Ezra muttered, I knew it. Nia breathed deeply, like the truth was something heavy she had carried too long. Before I disappeared, I was working undercover, against the same people hunting you now. Morel's brothers were small then, but dangerous. I got too close. They figured it out. They threatened all of us. You. Mama. Me. I froze. You never told me. If I had, you would not have let me leave, she said quietly. And if I stayed, they would have killed all of you. So I disappeared. I became a ghost. It was the only way to save you. Tyler took a shaky step forward. And now why come back now? Nia looked him straight in the eyes. Because what they want now is bigger. This is not just about a house or a will. They are building something illegal. Something tied to land, money, movement of people. Your father has been helping them without knowing what he signed. Ezra added, and once he realized what he had done, it was too late. They locked him in with threats. Nia nodded. And the only loose ends in their plan were you and your mother. The truth hit like a blow. Tyler leaned against me, barely standing. Mama, they wanted to erase us. Nia stepped closer. Not anymore. They will not come after you again. I made sure of it. Her voice was cold. Final. Deadly. I stepped forward, swallowing hard. Nia. What about Jalen? What about Tyler's father? Nia's face softened for the first time. Jalen was never meant to die. They were using him. But now that the brothers are handled, he is no longer in danger. I whispered, he stood with them at my house. She nodded. Fear makes people choose the wrong side. He will have to live with that. Ezra crossed his arms. And you look like you are about to disappear again. Nia didn't deny it. She looked at me with eyes that held years of silence. I came back to save you. But I cannot stay. If I stay, bigger wolves come hunting. You do not want those wolves. A tear slid down my cheek. After 17 years, you are leaving again. She stepped forward and cupped my face gently. Imani, everything I ever did was to keep you alive. And now, you are alive. You and your boy. My job is done. Tyler swallowed hard. Aunt Nia, will we ever see you again? She smiled sadly. When it is safe. And when it is quiet. I promise. Then she slipped something into my hand. A folded paper. A number written in small, clean handwriting. Call this if you ever hear my name spoken by a stranger, she said. If that day comes, run. Before I could speak, she stepped back into the shadows. Ezra sighed. She is gone. And just like that, she vanished. No footsteps. No sound. Just gone. Tyler leaned on me. Mama, what do we do now? I placed my arm around him. We go to the police with Ezra. We tell the truth. We break their operation. And we start over. Ezra nodded. I will testify. And so will others. Nia weakened the right people. The rest is up to us. Tyler squeezed my hand. Mama, did we win? I looked at him. My son who survived danger without breaking. Who trusted me even when the truth hurt. Yes, I whispered. We did not win with revenge. We won with survival. With truth. With courage. We took the long walk out of the woods as the first light of dawn crept over the trees. The nightmare was ending. And a new beginning waited on the other side. If you stayed with me through this emotional journey, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories like this. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from. Your support keeps these stories alive, and I cannot wait to share the next one with you.